We've all seen those stories, right? Someone hits the jackpot, millions of dollars suddenly land in their lap. And yet, within a few years, they're back to square one, sometimes even deeper in debt.
Yeah, it's startling.
And then you have individuals like, well, Donald Trump,
Yeah.
who can experience these massive financial losses, but seem to possess this uncanny ability to rebuild their fortunes, often bigger than before.
Okay, let's unpack this. What's the real difference here? It really makes you wonder if there's, more to financial success than just external factors like luck or maybe opportunity. Could it be that our outer financial world is actually like a reflection of our inner psychological landscape?
That's precisely the fascinating disconnects we're going to explore today. The source material you've provided for this deep dive, these excerpts from Harv Eker's Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, it gets right to the heart of this idea.
Okay.
The core insight here is that your current financial reality, well, it isn't random. It's presented as a direct output of a deeply ingrained financial blueprint that's running on autopilot in your subconscious. Exactly. So for this deep dive, our mission really is to cut through the noise and extract the crucial insights from these excerpts about the psychological drivers behind our financial outcomes.
Yeah.
Think of this as, well, your shortcut to understanding the often invisible forces shaping your financial life, and, maybe more importantly, identifying actionable steps you can take to rewire your thinking for positive change.
And the central idea that Eker lays out is that we all operate with this subconscious financial blueprint. Imagine it as like a set of deeply held beliefs and patterns related to money, developed over time, largely shaped by our early experiences and the conditioning we received way back in childhood.
Right.
The book argues that understanding and then actively revising this blueprint is absolutely fundamental to achieving lasting financial success. It promises to uncover those hidden root causes and offer practical strategies to essentially reprogram your mind for wealth.
Okay, so this financial blueprint, it sounds incredibly powerful. The book suggests it's almost more influential than our actual knowledge or even the effort we put in.
That's a key understanding, yeah. The material presents this financial blueprint as the underlying operating system of our financial lives. You can have all the latest software, the best business strategies, the most sophisticated investment advice, but if the fundamental programming,
Core programming.
right, your subconscious beliefs and mindset about money and your own capabilities, if that isn't set up for success, those external tools just won't be used effectively.
It's like that analogy of a carpenter, isn't it? You can give someone the highest quality tools imaginable, but if they don't have the skills and, crucially, the mindset of a master carpenter, they're not going to create a masterpiece.
Precisely. Your external skills and knowledge are your tools, sure, but your inner game, your mindset, your beliefs about money and your own worthiness, that's what determines how skillfully you can use those tools. And the excerpt includes this really insightful saying, it's not enough to be in the right place at the right time. You have to be the right person in the right place at the right time.
So what makes up this right person when it comes to finances? It's not just about knowing how to, say, manage a budget, is it?
Absolutely not. The source material points to a whole range of internal factors. Your fundamental thoughts about money, the deeply ingrained beliefs you hold about wealth and rich people, your automatic financial habits, your sense of self-worth, your level of confidence in your financial abilities, how you interact with others in financial contexts, the extent to which you trust yourself and others with money, whether you genuinely believe you deserve to be wealthy, and perhaps most importantly, your capacity to take decisive action even when things feel, well, uncomfortable or uncertain.
It almost sounds like many people, according to the book anyway, just aren't internally prepared to handle significant wealth. That might sound a bit blunt, but the lottery winner example really brings that point into sharp focus.
It does. The data consistently shows that the vast majority of lottery winners, regardless of the size of their winnings, eventually return to their previous financial situation.
Right back where they started.
Exactly. This strongly suggests that their internal financial thermostat, as the book calls it, is set for a particular level of wealth. And any significant deviation, whether upwards or downwards, tends to be temporary. Their inner blueprint just isn't calibrated to manage and sustain that level of wealth over the long term.
And then you have the opposite scenario with self-made millionaires, like the Donald Trump example again. Even when they face substantial financial setbacks, they often seem to bounce back remarkably quickly.
Exactly. The excerpt touches on this, noting that while they might lose their money in certain ventures, they rarely lose what the book terms their millionaire mind, that ingrained way of thinking, making decisions, and operating in the financial world that allows them to generate wealth again.
It's like their default setting is just higher.
Right. In someone like Trump's case, his billionaire mind is set for a much higher level. The book implies that he would likely never feel truly successful with just $1 million. His internal gauge is calibrated to a much higher financial temperature.
This financial thermostat analogy is really resonating. It's like we each have this preset range for our income, whether it's in the thousands, hundreds, or maybe even operating in a deficit.
That's the core idea. And this internal thermostat is what prevents many people from ever reaching their full financial potential. The source even cites research suggesting that a staggering 80% of individuals will never achieve true financial freedom.
Wow, 80%, that's a significant number. So what accounts for this massive gap between potential and the financial realities many people face?
The book uses a really powerful visual here, the roots and fruits. Think of your external financial results, the fruits you see in your bank account or your investments, as being directly determined by your internal seeds and roots.
The invisible stuff.
The invisible factors, exactly like your core beliefs and your fundamental mindset about money. To change the visible fruits in your financial life, you first have to cultivate different roots.
So the wealth principle here is crystal clear. If you want to change the fruits, you will first have to change the roots. If you want to change the visible, you must first change the invisible.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that what's happening beneath the surface of your conscious awareness is what ultimately creates your external financial reality.
Yeah. Mm.
The book even uses the analogy of electricity. We can't see it directly, but we certainly recognize its immense power and its tangible effects. Similarly, our inner financial world, while unseen, is just as powerfully shaping our outer financial circumstances.
And the book connects this to the different dimensions of our existence, right? The physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual realms.
Yes. The excerpt explains that the physical world, including your financial situation, is essentially a printout or a manifestation of your underlying mental, emotional, and spiritual states. It's a tangible outcome of what's going on in those less tangible realms.
Like a typo analogy it uses.
Right. Think of it like a typo in a document you've printed. You can erase the mistake on the paper all day long, but unless you go back and correct it in the original computer file, the source, it will keep reappearing every time you print it.
That makes perfect sense. So a lack of money isn't the fundamental problem itself. It's more of a symptom indicating something deeper going on underneath.
Precisely. The source explicitly states, a lack of money is never, ever, ever a problem. A lack of money is merely a symptom of what is going on underneath.
Okay.
It reinforces this with another key wealth principle. Money is a result, wealth is a result, health is a result, illness is a result, your weight is a result. We live in a world of cause and effect. So if you're experiencing financial challenges, the book suggests shifting your focus from the lack of funds itself to the underlying causes rooted in your financial blueprint.
Okay, so we're starting to grasp the power of this inner blueprint. But how does this blueprint actually take shape in the first place? What molds it? Where does it come from?
Well, the excerpts detail that our financial blueprint is largely a product of conditioning. From a very young age, we are constantly being taught, both directly and indirectly, how to think, feel, and act in relation to money.
Right.
These repeated messages and observed behaviors become deeply ingrained, leading to automatic responses and patterns unless we consciously intervene.
And it breaks down this conditioning into a clear sequence. Our thoughts lead to our feelings, those feelings drive our actions, and ultimately those actions produce our results. So if we want different financial results, we need to go back to the very beginning, our core thoughts about money.
Exactly. And where do those initial thoughts originate? The book emphasizes that they are deeply rooted in our subconscious conditioning. This is why simply trying to change our outward actions or, acquire more financial knowledge often isn't enough to create lasting change. We need to address the foundational thought patterns that are driving those actions.
And the book outlines 4 key elements for creating change at this deep level. What are those crucial steps?
Okay, so the first critical element is awareness, simply becoming conscious of the fact that this financial blueprint exists and that it's actively influencing your financial life. You can't begin to change something unless you first recognize its presence and its impact.
Makes sense.
The second element is understanding, gaining clarity on where your current way of thinking about money actually originated, recognizing that these beliefs and patterns were largely formed by external influences, like your upbringing and your environment, rather than being inherent truths about you or the world.
Okay, those initial steps make logical sense. You need to be aware of the blueprint and understand its origins. What are the remaining two elements for creating lasting change?
The third essential element is disassociation, consciously recognizing that these learned thoughts and beliefs about money are not inherently you. They are simply a form of programming that you've absorbed over time. And crucially, you have the power in the present moment to choose to think differently. You are not forever bound by your past conditioning.
That's a really empowering idea, the ability to actually separate ourselves from these old ingrained patterns. And what's the final fourth element in this process of change?
The fourth and final element is declaration, making a conscious and intentional statement to actively override the old, limiting programming and to adopt new, more supportive ways of thinking about money and wealth.
Ah, the declarations.
Yes, the book strongly emphasizes the power of saying these declarations out loud, often accompanied by specific physical anchors or movements to help reinforce them at a deeper, more cellular level.
Let's delve a little deeper into how this conditioning actually happens. The first way the book discusses is through verbal programming. What does that specifically involve?
Okay, verbal programming refers to all the things you heard about money, wealth, and rich people when you were growing up. This could include direct statements made by your parents or caregivers, their opinions expressed about financial matters, or even just casual offhand remarks that you overheard repeatedly.
Like, money is the root of all evil, or something like that.
Exactly, or rich people are greedy, or we can't afford that. The book suggests a vital awareness step here, actively taking the time to recall those specific statements you heard during your childhood.
I can already think of a few phrases that were pretty common in my household growing up. Money doesn't grow on trees, for one.
Hmm.
So once we become aware of these verbal programs, what's the next step in beginning to change their impact?
The crucial understanding step is to reflect thoughtfully on how you believe those specific statements have actually influenced your financial life up to this point. Did they, for instance, instill a sense of scarcity? Did they create negative associations with wealth or wealthy people?
Mm-hmm.
Following this reflection comes the disassociation step, consciously recognizing that these were simply things you heard. They are not necessarily objective truths, and importantly, they're not inherently part of who you are. You have the power to make different choices now.
This understanding and disassociation then leads us to the power of the declaration for verbal programming.
Exactly. The book recommends a specific practice. Placing your hand over your heart and saying aloud, "What I heard about money isn't necessarily true. I choose to adopt new ways of thinking that support my happiness and success."
Okay.
And then immediately following that, touching your head and declaring, "I have a millionaire mind." These declarations are about consciously choosing and actively affirming new, more empowering beliefs about money.
The second significant influence on our financial blueprint, according to the book, is modeling. What does that involve specifically?
Modeling refers to the process of observing and unconsciously learning the financial behaviors, habits, and attitudes of your parents or primary caregivers as you were growing up.
Just watching what they did.
Right. Consider things like, how did they manage their money day to day? Were they spenders or savers? How did they approach investments and risk? Was money a frequent source of stress or arguments, or did it flow relatively smoothly? What were their overall emotional associations with money?
It's that classic monkey see, monkey do principle in action, isn't it? We often unconsciously absorb and then replicate the financial habits and overall attitudes of those closest to us during our formative years.
Precisely. The excerpt includes the well-known saying, "The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree." It even shares that humorous anecdote about the woman who habitually cut off both ends of a ham before cooking it,
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
simply because that's how her mother had always done it. It turned out her mother did it because her cooking pan was too small. It perfectly illustrates how we can blindly follow ingrained patterns without ever questioning why or whether they still serve us.
And the book shares a personal story from the author about his father's recurring cycles of financial highs and lows, and how that very pattern seemed to repeat itself in the author's early business ventures. That really underscores the powerful, often unconscious influence of financial modeling.
It does indeed. Even when we consciously try to approach things differently, Those deeply ingrained patterns we absorbed from our upbringing can continue to play out in subtle yet significant ways in our own financial lives.
The third key influence the book highlights is specific incidents. How do these particular experiences shape our financial attitudes?
Specific emotional experiences we had surrounding money during childhood can leave a lasting and profound impact on our subconscious financial blueprint. These emotionally charged incidents can create very strong and enduring emotional links to money, which can be either positive or, more often, negative and limiting.
The book discusses how rebellion can sometimes emerge as a response to parental financial behaviors. How does that dynamic typically play out?
Well, if someone grew up in a household marked by, say, poverty, instability, or maybe overly restrictive financial control, they might develop a very strong, almost defiant drive to become rich as a form of rebellion.
Like, I'll show them.
Exactly. And while this intense motivation can certainly lead to accumulating wealth, the underlying fuel of anger and resentment can create its own set of challenges. Money becomes deeply intertwined with negative emotions.
And the book cautions that this type of anger-driven wealth might paradoxically lead to subconscious self-sabotage later on, as if the person tries to unconsciously get rid of the money tied to those negative feelings to find peace.
Exactly. This really highlights the critical importance of consciously unlinking our motivations for seeking money from negative emotions like anger, revenge, or the need to prove our worth. Instead, it emphasizes connecting our financial aspirations to positive drivers like purpose, contribution, and genuine joy.
hmm
When our motivation for wealth is rooted in these positive emotions, wealth and happiness are much more likely to coexist.
But the book also makes the point that rebellion isn't always negative, right? Especially if your parents had really poor financial habits. Rebelling against those patterns could actually be very positive.
That's absolutely right. However, the book also cautions that blindly rebelling against parents who were actually financially successful might inadvertently lead to unnecessary difficulties in your own life. The key, as always, is conscious awareness of the underlying motivations.
The excerpt shares a really compelling story about Josie, the nurse who realized her career choice was tied to her blueprint and past experiences, and how she ultimately made a significant change. That's a powerful illustration.
It is, and the author also shares a very personal anecdote about the contrasting money blueprints he and his wife had her focus on pleasure versus his on freedom, and how these differences initially caused conflict in their marriage.
It really underscores how deeply ingrained these blueprints are and how they influence relationships. So for these specific emotional incidents, what are the steps for change?
The steps closely mirror the others. First, awareness recalling a specific emotional incident around money from childhood. Second, understanding reflecting on how it might still be affecting you today. Third, disassociation recognizing it was a learned response, not inherently you. And finally, the depuration. Quote, I release my non-supportive money experiences from the past and create a new and rich future, followed by, I have a millionaire mind.
Okay. After helping us understand how these blueprints are formed, the book then shifts focus to examining our own money blueprint as it exists today. What are some key questions it prompts us to consider?
It encourages some deep self-reflection. Like, what is your current blueprint fundamentally set for? Success, mediocrity, failure even. Are you programmed for struggle or ease around money? Hard work or more balance? What's your internal set point for income? High, moderate, maybe surprisingly low? The book suggests many of us have a fairly specific subconscious dollar amount we're programmed for.
The anecdote about the gentleman earning $500,000 a year for 7 years but still feeling dissatisfied really highlights that, doesn't it? Even significant success doesn't mean the blueprint is aligned with fulfillment.
Absolutely. He hit that number consistently, suggesting his thermostat was set there. But his feeling of something missing showed his inner game likely needed more work.
Right.
The book also asks us to consider, does money consistently feel like a struggle? Do you tend towards being an employee or a business owner? Do you have a pattern of job hopping? These can all be indicators of your blueprint settings.
It circles back to that powerful thermostat analogy, emphasizing that our blueprint dictates our financial temperature, the level we're subconsciously programmed to achieve and maintain.
Yes, and it introduces the concept of an inner money box. Think of this as your internal capacity shaped by beliefs to receive, manage, and hold on to wealth. The book states very directly, your income can only grow to the extent that you do. If your inner money box is small due to limiting beliefs about worthiness or ability, you won't attract or retain significant money, regardless of external opportunities.
So the key takeaway here is focusing not just on earning more, but on expanding our inner money box by changing those limiting beliefs and patterns.
Exactly. And the book offers a provocative suggestion. Not to believe a word, the author says, or even your own current thoughts. Instead, consciously choose and adopt beliefs that genuinely support your aspirations for wealth.
Because ultimately, as we discussed, it comes back to that cycle. Thoughts, feelings, actions, results. Choose better thoughts, set off a better chain reaction.
Precisely. And this leads us into the next pivotal section, the wealth files. These are presented as 16 fundamental differences in how wealthy individuals think and act compared to the middle class or poor.
These wealth files sound like the practical core of the reprogramming, and the book encourages us to actively test these concepts in our own lives.
It does, and it includes an important caveat. The intention isn't to degrade anyone struggling financially, but simply to illuminate the often subtle but profound mindset differences that influence outcomes. The contrasts are sometimes presented starkly for clarity.
And the declarations and physical anchors are still important here.
Yes, very much so. The consistent use of declarations and movements is designed to move this knowledge beyond just intellectual understanding and anchor it into your physical and emotional experience, making the change more integrated and lasting.
And just reading isn't enough. Taking action is key.
Absolutely. The book distinguishes between doing habits and not doing habits. Changing those habits of inaction requires consciously taking the suggested steps. Passive reading alone won't create transformation.
So let's dive into these wealth files. The very first one. Rich people believe I create my life. Poor people believe life happens to me. That's a fundamental difference in agency.
It is. The excerpt points to lottery playing among the poor as an example of an external locus of control believing wealth comes from outside forces, not their own actions. This often links to a victim mentality, thinking, poor me.
Right.
And the book suggests the law of intention reinforces this victim's unconsciously perpetuate victimhood. The shift is from being a passenger to the driver, believing, I create my results.
And this victim mentality often shows up as blaming, justifying, complaining. The book calls them vitamins for failure.
That's right. They offer fleeting relief, but distract from taking responsibility and creating change. The book stresses consciously choosing thoughts and words as they shape reality.
So the declaration. I create the exact degree of my financial success with a throat chop anchor, then I have a millionaire mind. Actions.
Actions include tracking complaints to spot victim thinking, identifying victim situations and taking responsibility, and regularly declaring you control your life's course.
Wealth file, #2. Rich people play the money game to win. Poor people play the money game not to lose.
A difference in objective. Indeed. The middle class and poor often focus on security and survival, avoiding hardship. Rich people aim for abundance and prosperity. This leads to different choices, ambition levels, and outcomes.
Comfortable versus rich. The chicken dinner anecdote illustrates choosing based on price fear, not desire.
Exactly. That fear of even looking at higher prices. And the principle is key. If your goal is to be comfortable, chances are you'll never get rich. But if your goal is to be rich, you'll end up mighty comfortable.
Aiming higher increases the likelihood of landing comfortably.
Precisely. Aiming only for comfort limits potential and action. The declaration. My goal is to become a millionaire and more. With a sweeping arm gesture for expansion, then I have a millionaire mind.
And the actions to integrate this play-to-win mentality.
Write down ambitious but realistic income and net worth goals with time frames. Challenge your comfort zone by ordering a market price meal without asking the cost. If funds are tight, share it. The point is shifting from affordability first thinking to abundance.
Wealth file, #3. Rich people are committed to being rich. Poor people want to be rich. Desire versus commitment.
Absolutely. The book argues many who say they want to be rich lack deep commitment, often due to hidden negative associations or fears about wealth being targeted, losing relationships, etc.
It lists a lot of those common worries.
Yeah. And a key point. The number one reason people don't get what they want is not knowing clearly what they want. Rich people are clear and unwavering in their commitment to creating wealth, legally, morally, ethically.
While poor people send mixed signals.
Exactly. Fluctuating desires, underlying fears. The book outlines 3 levels. I want passive wish, I choose, decision maybe lacks follow-through, and I commit, total dedication, whatever it takes ethically. The principle is clear. Unwavering desire and full commitment are essential.
The declaration, I commit to being rich, hand firmly on chest for conviction, then I have a millionaire mind. Actions.
Write down why being rich would be great for you. Declare your commitment aloud morning and night. Discuss it with supportive people.
Wealth file, #4. Rich people think big, poor people think small. Scale of ambition and impact.
It connects to the law of income. You will be paid in direct proportion to the value you deliver according to the marketplace. 4 factors determine value: supply, demand, quality, and quantity, how many people you serve or affect. Quantity is often the biggest challenge and lever.
And the book defines an entrepreneur as a problem solver for profit. So thinking bigger means solving problems for more people.
Exactly. More people helped richer, you become financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. The positive impact matters. There's an anecdote about someone whose life transformed by embracing this.
The declaration, I think big. I choose to help thousands and thousands of people with a big arm sweep, then I have a millionaire mind.
Yeah.
Actions.
Identify your natural talents. Brainstorm how to use them to serve more people. Think, how can I solve problems for 10 times more people? Leverage.
Wealth file, #5. Rich people focus on opportunities. Poor people focus on obstacles, how they perceive the world.
It's key. Rich people look for potential growth, reward, positive outcomes. Poor people often focus on pitfalls, risks, negative consequences.
So rich people prepare, then jump in, while poor people over-prepare and never start.
Often, yes. They get stuck in analysis paralysis due to fear. The principle: rich people see potential growth. Poor people see potential loss. Rich people focus on the rewards. Poor people focus on the risks. Fear is acknowledged by the rich, but they act anyway. Poor people let it paralyze them.
And the law of attraction connection. Focusing on problems attracts more problems.
While focusing on solutions attracts solutions, yes. The book advocates a ready, fire, aim approach, take action, then adjust versus getting stuck analyzing. It uses the corridor analogy. Success isn't linear. Get in the arena, learn by doing, like the author's busboy experience leading to his first million.
The declaration, I focus on opportunities over obstacles. I prepare, fire, then aim, rubbing hands together for action. Then I have a millionaire mind. Actions.
Identify a situation where you see obstacles. Reframe it to see opportunities. Research and plan how to capitalize. Take one concrete step within 24 hours.
Wealth file, #6. Rich people admire other rich and successful people. Poor people resent rich and successful people. Attitude towards others' wealth.
Yes, resentment creates a psychological barrier to your own wealth. The principle is simple but profound. Bless that which you want.
It counters the filthy lucre idea, even quoting that most wealthy people are honest and money can be used for good. And the author's personal story about his wealthy neighbors being kind and charitable.
Exactly. It debunks the greedy snob stereotype. Modeling successful people mindset and strategies is crucial. Poor people often judge and criticize, hindering their own learning.
What about negativity from loved ones?
Reframe it as a reminder of how not to be. Set boundaries. Associate with winners. If you want to fly with the eagles, don't swim with the ducks. Cultivate comfort around others' success. Know you're worthy too.
Declarations. I admire rich people. I bless rich people. I love rich people. I want to be just like them. Blowing kisses upwards, then I have a millionaire mind. Actions.
Read biographies of the successful. Spend time in wealthy environments, even just coffee. Distance from downers. Stop watching trash TV and negative news. Focus on positive influences.
Wealth file, #7. Rich people are willing to promote themselves and their value. Poor people think negatively about selling and promotion. Willingness to market.
Yes, negative views on promotion are a major obstacle. You have to let people know about your value. Reasons for negativity include bad past experiences, programming, fear of rejection, feeling it's beneath them.
It challenges build a better mousetrap by adding if they know about it. Rich people are often excellent promoters, skilled at packaging value. The principle. Leaders earn a heck of a lot more money than followers.
Precisely. The key isn't enjoying promotion, but your motivation. Believe in your value and how it helps others. If you believe you can help, it's almost your duty to share it.
Declaration. I promote my value with passion and enthusiasm. With a fist pump, then I have a millionaire mind. Actions. Rate your belief in your product service and yourself. Learn marketing sales, books, courses. Practice promoting your value.
Wealth file, #8. Rich people choose to be bigger than their problems. Poor people choose to be smaller than their problems, handling challenges.
Yes, the principle is central. The secret to success is not to try to avoid or get rid of or shrink from your problems. The secret is to grow yourself so that you are bigger than any problem. Problem size is relative to your size. Level 5 problem looks huge to a level 2 person, small to a level 8 person.
Exactly. So focus on your own growth, not the problem size. Use that mini-me reminder. The bigger the problems you can handle, the bigger the business, responsibility, money, wealth you can manage. Wealth grows and you grow. Rich people are solution-oriented, create systems, don't dwell on problems.
Declaration, I am bigger than any problem. Standing tall, then I have a millionaire mind. Actions.
Write down a big problem. Brainstorm solutions. Identify how you can grow to handle it. Skills, resilience, perspective. Shift focus from the problem to yourself and solutions.
Wealth file, #9. Rich people are excellent receivers. Poor people are poor receivers. Accepting abundance.
Well, poor people often feel unworthy due to conditioning. Not good enough. Punishment association. The principle. If you say you are worthy, you are. If you say you are not worthy, you are not. Either way, you will live into your story.
Self-worth is an idea, not a prerequisite for net worth, though getting rich just to prove worth might not bring happiness.
Right. And giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin. You need to be open to receiving life's best. Poor receivers might lose money quickly if they get it their receiving box is too small. The universe abhors a vacuum. Being a poor receiver affects all life areas. Becoming excellent receiver helps everywhere. And remember to just say thank you.
Declaration. I'm an excellent receiver. I'm open and willing to receive massive amounts of money into my life, arms open wide. Then, I have millionaire mind. Actions.
Practice receiving compliments. Just say thank you. Celebrate any money received enthusiastically. I'm a money magnet. Tamper yourself monthly to feel rich and deserving, strengthening the receiving muscle.
Wealth file, #10. Rich people choose to get paid based on results. Poor people choose to get paid based on time. Approach to earning.
Yes, it critiques the good job, steady paycheck advice. Steady pay is fine, but it limits earning potential if based solely on time. The principle, never have a ceiling on your income. Trading time for money inherently caps earnings.
The pen business versus massage therapist analogy shows the limits of time-based income. Service businesses need leverage to build wealth.
Often, yes. Duplication or leverage is key. The book challenges salaried hourly folks complaining about pay. Ask for results-based pay or work for yourself. Often, fear of testing their true value holds them back.
Parental programming toward security. When are you going to get a real job?
Right. The author's father advised getting paid on percentage or working for oneself. The book encourages results-based models. Start a business, commission, percentage of revenue profits, stock options. If no business idea, consider commission sales or network marketing. Ultimately, earn what you're worth via results.
Declaration. I choose to get paid based on my results, pointing to head for decision. Then I have a millionaire mind. Actions.
Propose results-based pay to employer or create for your own business suppliers. If underpaid, consider starting your own business. Part-time, network marketing, coaching, consulting, based on performance.
Wealth file, #11. Rich people think both.
Yeah.
Poor people think either or. Possibilities versus limitations.
Yes. Example. Rich think you can be kind and rich. Poor think it's one or the other. Rich operate from abundance, believing you can have multiple desired outcomes. Why not have both is their question.
That why not have both fosters creativity that either shuts down. The author aimed to get rich doing what I love, rejecting the false choice. And the money circulation example shows money creates value. It's not finite.
Exactly. Both hand expands possibilities. The principle. Rich people live in a world of abundance. Poor people live in a world of limitations. Declaration. I think both. Raising both arms, then I have a millionaire mind. Actions.
Identify an either belief about money. Ask why not have both. Brainstorm ways to achieve both outcomes.
Wealth file, #12. Rich people focus on their net worth. Poor people focus on their working income. How they measure success.
Critical distinction. Working income versus net worth. Assets minus liabilities. 4 factors build net worth. Income, savings, investments, simplification. All essential.
Right. Working income fuels the funnel, but rich people build wealth by managing all 4. Poor middle class often focus only on income, leading to low net worth. Passive income is key here too.
Briefly, passive income, saving, investing, and simplification. Reducing expenses is a powerful, often overlooked factor. Increases savings and investment funds. Sue's house purchase story illustrates early net worth building.
It does. And consider your definition of financial happiness. A high bar takes longer. The 4-wheeled bus analogy. Net worth needs all 4 factors. Poor often rely only on income. Parkinson's law explains why income alone isn't enough. Expenses rise to meet income. Financial planner value is also stressed.
Declaration. I focus on building my net worth, making a pyramid shape with hands, then I have a millionaire mind. Actions.
Focus on all four factors: income, savings, investments, simplification. Create and track a net worth statement quarterly. Consider hiring a successful financial planner. Bonus. Find free online trackers.
Wealth file #13. Rich people manage their money well. Poor people mismanage their money well. Effective management at all levels.
Absolutely. It's about ability to manage what you have, not the amount. Saying, I'll manage when I have more is like delaying diet exercise until you lose weight cart before the horse. Manage what you have, then you'll get more to manage.
The triple scooper ice cream analogy. Handle one scoop first. The principle. Until you show you can handle what you've got, you won't get any more. Habit is more important than amount. Emma's story of managing $1 a month to overcome debt proves it.
It does. Even if borrowing, manage the extra dollar. There's a spiritual principle. Demonstrate you can handle finances and money miracles occur. It introduces the Millionaire Mind money management system, dividing income into different accounts.
Key is balance. Saving for future versus a play account for nurturing self. That play account, 10% spent monthly to feel rich, strengthens the receiving muscle, makes management fun. Other accounts, financial freedom, 10%, never spend, only invest. Long-term savings for spending, 10%, education, 10%, necessities, 50%, giving 10%. Percentages can vary.
Exactly. High income doesn't guarantee wealth without management. John's story. Disliked management initially, learned to enjoy it as net worth grew, like training for a triathlon. Principle. Either you control money or it will control you. To control money, you must manage it. Confidence grows, transfers to other life areas.
Declaration. I am an excellent money manager with a money-in-hand gesture, then I have a millionaire mind. Actions.
Open a financial freedom bank account, 10% income. Create a financial freedom jar, deposit daily. Open and allocate percentages into all accounts each time you get paid.
Wealth file, #14. Rich people have their money work hard for them. Poor people work hard for their money. Active versus passive income shift.
Yes, we're conditioned to work hard for money, rarely taught to make money work hard for us. Hard work alone doesn't create wealth. Who lounges at country clubs? Those whose money works for them. Goal. Passive income exceeds expenses. Financial freedom.
Two main sources. Money working for you, investments, and business working for you. Ongoing income without personal involvement. Rentals, royalties, licensing, franchises, network marketing. Creating passive structures is vital for freedom.
Right. Difficulty stems from conditioning, equating income with active work. Fear of risk, lack of financial education. If taught early, career choices might differ. Most have a blueprint against passive income. Rich think long-term, balance enjoyment with investing. Poor think short-term, immediate gratification.
The excuse, can't think about tomorrow, but tomorrow becomes today. Increase wealth, earn more, or live on less. Power of choice, priorities. Author's in-laws' penny business story: saved diligently, lived modestly, retired early. Natalie's parents' extreme saving, and her shift, coat versus investment.
Long-term versus short-term, assets versus expenses. Buy real estate. Author's parents' investment success. Poor work hard, spend all, work forever. Rich work hard, save, invest. Work becomes optional.
Declaration, my money works hard for me and makes me more and more money, rubbing thumb finger, then I have a millionaire mind. Actions.
Get educated on investing, seminars, books. Shift focus to passive income, list strategies, research, act. Consider buying real estate and waiting.
Wealth file, #15. Rich people act in spite of fear. Poor people let fear stop them. Relationship with risk and comfort zones.
Yes, the principle. It is not necessary to try to get rid of fear in order to succeed. Key is practicing acting despite fear, doubt, worry, inconvenience, discomfort, bad mood. Convenience is often an excuse.
Moving beyond the comfort zone is essential for growth. Level 5 life to level 10 means traversing the uncomfort zone. Poor middle class prioritize comfort, limiting growth. Rich know comfort is overrated. Growth happens outside it.
Exactly. New things feel uncomfortable initially, but become comfortable with practice, expanding your comfort zone, making you bigger. Principle. The only time you are actually growing is when you are uncomfortable. CZ equals WEZ, comfort zone, wealth zone. Expand comfort, expand wealth, prioritize comfort, contract with fear, practice acting despite feelings. Arrow-breaking exercise mentioned, caution, shows acting despite extreme fear is possible, often easier than imagined. Mind as soap opera scriptwriter, Mark Twain, quote.
Declarations. I act in spite of fear. Cross arms. Doubt. Swipe hand. Worry. Shake head. Inconvenience. Snap fingers. Discomfort. Clench fist. Not mood. Jump up down. I have a millionaire mind. Actions.
List greatest money worries, challenge them, practice getting out of comfort zone intentionally, employ power thinking, only entertain supportive thoughts.
Finally, wealth file, #16. Rich people constantly learn and grow. Poor people think they already know. Attitude towards development.
Yes, I know that. Dangerous words.
Ah,
Knowing versus living it. If not rich happy, more to learn. Authors shift from know it all to learn it all after Millionaire Friend's advice. If you're not as successful, there's something you don't know.
poor Semum often try to prove they're right, blame external factors, hindering growth, need to learn the money game, income, management, investing. Insanity definition. Same actions, expect different results. Excuses hinder growth. Coach value mentioned. Success is learnable. Starting point less important than willingness.
Exactly. Principle. Every master was once a disaster. No one born a financial genius. Becoming rich is who you become. Character mind. Fastest way. Personal development. Outer reflects inner root fruits. You take yourself with you. Grow. Success. Power of choice. Money without inner work, luckily lost. Inner plus outer, lasting success, happiness. Rich success order. Be, do, have. Poor middle. Have, do, be. Success who and who is trainable. Key difference. Rich are experts. Middle, mediocre. Poor, unskilled. Paycheck reflects expertise. To get paid the best, you must be the best. Learn from masters, real results. Rich learn from richer, poor from broke friends. Everest Guide analogy. Continuous learning, caution source. Broke consultants teach being broke. Action exercise is crucial for cellular change. Ignore resistance. Declaration. I commit to constantly learning and growing. Hand on forehead, absorbing knowledge, then I have a millionaire mind. Actions. Commit lifelong learning. Read monthly. Seminars. Become expert in your field. Learn from successful people. Implement immediately.
The book also briefly mentions the author's world's simplest system for money management as a practical resource for implementation.
Yes, it's presented as a valuable and straightforward next step for individuals ready to put these mindset shifts into daily action.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, the core message from these excerpts is undeniably clear. Achieving lasting financial success isn't solely about external strategies or markets. It is deeply fundamentally rooted in our subconscious beliefs, our ingrained mindset, our overall psychological landscape.
Right.
By consciously understanding and actively working to reprogram our financial blueprint, and by deliberately adopting the thinking patterns and behaviors of the wealthy, genuine and lasting positive change in our financial realities becomes absolutely possible.
And for you, our listener, who values gaining insightful knowledge efficiently and appreciates those aha moments that shift perspective, I sincerely hope this deep dive into Harv Eker's principles has provided exactly that. We aim to distill the key takeaways in a way that's digestible, thought-provoking, and offers actionable insights without feeling overwhelming.
We really wanted to provide you with that valuable shortcut to understanding these crucial principles contained within the source material. Give you the essence.
So as a final and perhaps provocative thought for you to consider today, take some time to reflect on your own internal financial thermostat. What level do you honestly believe it's currently set at?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe more importantly, what is one small but significant action that you can commit to taking today, based on the principles and insights we've explored, to begin consciously shifting your mindset or your daily financial habits in a more empowering, wealth-affirming direction? Perhaps revisit these key ideas, explore related resources, and continue your own personal journey of unlocking the potential of your own millionaire mind.